Hi, it's Ben Rogers. This is the Property Diary. This is Wednesday the 27th of March. A couple of things I want to talk to you about today, a couple of opportunities that have come up, and of course it is Irish Wednesday, so let's give you an update on what's going on over in Southern Ireland. First of all, I had an opportunity pass through to me from my buddy Stuart, and this is an opportunity up in Stoke, something that he's not particularly 100% comfortable in working his way through because it's relatively new to him, the option style. So guess what? I've got a relationship with him, he's got the opportunity, I've got the knowledge, let's go and do the deal. Nice and simple. Interestingly, I've also helped Jason, one of the mentees that's come through some of my training programs with, and I'm mentoring at the moment. He's got an opportunity up in Hull, and it was really about how to actually structure that particular deal. Could see the opportunity, had an initial conversation with the guys, but needed to take it to the next step. So we then had a kind of a 20-minute, half an hour conversation about the language to use, how to actually structure the deal financially, what questions to ask, how to go through the process with somebody, and what the next steps were. And really at this stage, the next steps weren't to do everything, it was just literally to get to a point of agreement. And I think the observation here, and something that we can all learn about, is that we're on the telephone with somebody, we're not trying to do everything. When you're having a telephone conversation with somebody, you need to work out what your goal is for that telephone call. The goal for Jason on this next telephone call was to confirm what had already been agreed, identify some additional criteria, and make sure that the desire and the motivation to sell was right, and the solution that Jason was providing was right. And the goal of that call was to get to a position where I say, yeah, this is what we agree that we're doing. I'll tell you what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll send you confirmation via email and a heads of terms. Now, of course, we wouldn't use the phrase heads of terms when we're speaking on the phone to somebody. It's a bit too official. But I'll send you the initial 1-stroke 2-page bit of paperwork that's going to get this property out of your name into my name and get the problem solved. What's actually happening is sending an email with a heads of terms. Heads of terms says on it, you know, your name, his name, the details of the property, the price of paying, the term over which you're paying, and any other conditions. Very, very simple. Jason will then come back to me after he's had that conversation and say, Ben, how do I do the heads of terms? And I'll take him to the next process. But remember, when you're on the phone to somebody, you won't get everything done there and then on the phone. You just need to know what your next goal is in the timeline of getting that person out of that property and you into it, them away from their problem, you into a position where you're benefiting from babysitting and looking after their property. So there you go. Anyway, Irish Wednesday, what have the guys over in Southern Ireland been doing? It's been a fairly good week over the last week. It's certainly very, very busy over there. Still getting plenty of calls coming through. I reckon about 60% of those are coming through from sellers, and about 40% are coming through from potential buyer/tenant buyers. And getting very genuine people coming through. Over the last sort of 3 or 4 months, it's been a case of gradually wheeling out kind of the time wasters. There's a lot of kind of tyre kickers, shall we say. If you look at the Southern Irish market, it's fairly difficult over there. There's been sort of tyre kickers. You know, how does this work? But one of the things I would say is we still get our fair share of nutters over there. Martin was speaking to one guy this week, and he's called up, and Martin said, look, I also need to ask you some questions about the house, and the guy saying, well, you know, I don't feel like I should tell you about that. Well, what business is that of yours? And Martin's on the phone thinking, well, hang on a minute. You called me because you want to sell the house, but you won't tell me about the house. So I carried on another conversation and asked about some of the finances around it. No, what business is that of yours? Look, I'm not interested. You get nutters, and part of the ongoing stuff that you'll have with your businesses is the stories that you'll end up being able to tell. And guys, all of this information, all this sort of these stories that you'll end up with, they become part of your third-party offset conversations. You wouldn't believe it. I was speaking to a guy the other day, and I was asking him questions, and you know what? He wouldn't even tell me anything about the house. You know what? I couldn't believe it, because I'm thinking, how on earth could I actually buy the house from him if I didn't know anything about it? And do you know what that does when you're talking to somebody else, a seller? They then suddenly feel, well, yeah, you're right. If I don't tell Ben about this property, how on earth can he buy this property from me? So all of these experiences become part of your repertoire. They become part of the way that you speak with other people. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully it does. One of the things that we're concentrating on there is that we seem to get into two bands of type of properties. Those up to about 150,000 euros, and those are a lot more expensive. Those that have got mortgage payments of say sort of 600-700 euros a month, and those are sort of 1,200-1,500 euros a month. Guess what's easier to sell? It's a 700 euro property a month rather than the 1,500 euro a month property. So what we're going to be focusing on is the bank of tenant buyers and potential buyers that we have for those properties. Now, the way that I've been talking to Martin and Brian about this is that the way that we deal with the bigger value properties is we work with the mortgage brokers. And one of the things that we've yet to really capture over in Ireland at the moment is the relationships with the mortgage brokers. So that's what we're also going to be doing over there. So part of it is working with the initial bank of properties and tenant buyers on the 150k type properties. And the other thing is we work with mortgage brokers. Because let's face it, mortgage brokers, guess what? Is it possible they might have had people coming into their offices who've got the deposit, who've got the income, but don't qualify for a mortgage? What does that mortgage broker earn from those clients? Absolutely zip. Is it possible that we, as investors, working the strategy of options and instalment contracts and assisted sales, is it possible that we as investors can work with those mortgage brokers to put money into their pocket? Because they can bring those people to us who are potential tenant buyers, and we can then get them into the house ownership process. So that's the process we're going to be going on over there, concentrating on working with our mortgage brokers and concentrating on the lower end properties with the existing tenant buyer database. So there you go, my name's Ben, this is the Property Diary. Hope again those have been interesting sort of updates and interesting stuff around the mortgage broker side of things. I should look forward to speaking to you tomorrow, which, interesting, is the last day before we break up for Easter. So hope you've got some interesting Easter plans, and I'll look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care, bye bye.